Hello everybody, thank you so much for being with me today. Super excited for this live cast and to have you with me. The easiest way for fix and flippers to cut down on their time to finding new deals really has to do with improving their sales skills. That it makes such a difference in somebody that may get a deal and somebody might lose a deal has to do with their skill sets and how they can do that. So getting better at persuasion means talking to fewer property owners, which means less work and time to find your next deal. Now, I want to be really careful here. We're not trying to talk people into selling us their house. We're trying to find people that are motivated already and showing them why it's a better thing for them to sell to us versus other things. So today, let's talk about some of the main objections you may run into when you're working with a seller and how's the best way to handle them. How to overcome the 7 most common objections from sellers. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So what are we going to be covering? I'm going to go through some common objections I have seen over the years, but I also want to give you some ammunition. Like, okay, so here's the objection. Well, what do you do to overcome that? Now, when you think of an objection, there's a misunderstanding, right? Like, hey, I don't want to because of this. There's some type of misunderstanding. And we want to make sure that everybody knows the benefits of selling to an investor. Guys, people aren't selling to us so they can get the very best price. They're selling to us for other things. What are those things? I'll be talking about that here in just a minute. So, I'm going to assume we're talking about off-market properties, okay? So off-market properties are ones that are not listed with an agent and are not listed on the multiple listing services. That's the assumption that I am going to make. So you've done some advertising, you've gotten in touch with a seller, so you've emailed or you've mailed or you've called or you've postcarded or whatever the case is, but you have gotten a seller that's interested at this point and they have some objections. That's what we're going to say these common objections are actually coming from. So let's run through some objections. Another buyer is going to give me more money. Okay. I get more when I list with an agent. I need more money. My home does not need that much work. I'm just going to let the bank foreclose. Why should I trust you? And lastly, I can get more selling the home on my own. So guys, I didn't shy away from that. These are really big objections that can make the difference between you getting a deal and not getting a deal. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to dive into each one of these. So another buyer will give me more money. Okay. Many potential investors will promise sellers the world. Okay. Yeah, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do that. Okay. So the question is, this is typically done before they have all the numbers. So they haven't done their research. They haven't looked at values. They haven't maybe have seen the home, or if they have, they haven't accounted for repairs. So the idea is it's kind of like, oh, let's give them a really high price. And then once we go under contract, then we'll renegotiate and show them the things that are wrong with that. I don't really like that strategy. I never intend to use that strategy. The other thing you can run across is you just have some new investors that do not know how much things are going to cost. And so they may be telling the seller something like, hey, you know, we can get you this, but that's really not going to be the case once it's all said and done. So the question is, if that's the objection, how do you overcome this? Well, the first thing I say is, can I get a copy of the offer? Can I take a look at that offer? And they'll be like, oh, well, I don't want to show you that. Well, why not? Give me a copy of the offer. Let me see if I can, let me see what I can do, right? So, and most of the time I find they don't even have an offer. And if they don't have a written offer, then they really don't have anything. So it's really not going to come through. So tell them if it's not in writing, it is not real. So if they do not have it in writing, it is not real. Don't bank on it. Don't think that you're going to get some money when you don't even have anything in writing. That is a problem. So the other thing you can do is you can say, hey, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and move forward on my prices and what I've got here. And if you get a better offer in the next 3 days or 7 days, I want to keep it as short as possible. They may want it longer, but hey, if you get a better offer in the next 3 days or 7 days, then give me the opportunity to match that offer, or we can just cancel the contract and you can go with those guys. So it's basically like, hey, I'm leaving that door open where if they feel like something better is going to come in, they've got a few days to do that, but I'm also locking up the deal. This is really important. You do not want to leave that house without the contract. And so I'm basically saying, okay, you don't have an offer in writing, so I can't see it. They're saying they're going to do it, but they still haven't. I have an offer in writing right now. Let's move forward with that. Okay, they don't want to for some reason. Great. Well, let me ask you this. what if we move forward with this price, but I will agree to pay $1,000 more than any other reasonable offer, and I just need a copy of the offer. I need to make sure they're approved. I want to talk to the lender and those things. And if that's the case, I will either move forward for $1,000 more than what they're offering you, so you get a little more money, or I will cancel the contract and you can move forward with those guys. But you've got a time limit. You've got 3 days or 7 days, or whatever. The shorter the better for you, but whatever makes them feel comfortable. And then you'll move forward to the closing. I wouldn't do inspections and spend money until after that period of time. And I'd just say, hey, let's do that, and then we'll start working on inspections and those things. But that's a great way that you can overcome this. Somebody else is going to give me more money. Now, you can get them to commit to go under contract right now. That is really important. Hey, let's go ahead and let's move forward right now. If something better comes in, I'll pay $1,000 more, or I can gracefully bow out and you guys can move forward. The other thing you really do is just show them the numbers, the work that needs to be done to the house. And we'll get into that objection here in just a minute, but show them everything that needs to be done to the house. One of the things I like to do is walk around the property. First thing I do when I get there is just plop down and make myself family and talk to them and get to know them and those types of things. Then the next thing, after we spend a lot of time doing that, I like to walk around the property and ask them about it. What about this? What about this? What about this? And I really want to point out the things that are problems, but I don't want to tell them their house is crappy. So I want to just kind of make some notes and that type of stuff. So once I've made all of that, then I want to help them figure out what it's going to cost them. So how much do you think it's going to cost to fix the roof? How much do you think it's going to cost to fix this? How much is this? I can also say, what do you think we can sell it for? What are homes really selling for? And I can give them comparables. And so that's one thing that I can do. Now, if you're an agent and it just makes sense for you to sell it as an agent rather than buy the property, you can potentially get some listings. This is just a little pro tip for those that are agents. You don't need to be an agent, but it's something to consider. The thought is that if an agent can get them, this is the question, I can get more money listing with an agent is the objection. So, hey, I can get more money if I list with an agent. So the thought is that an agent can get them more money. So this may be true, okay? But many times it's actually not true, okay? Many times it's not true. And that's where we get into what are the benefits of selling to an investor versus selling with an agent. There's several of these. So you don't have to deal with unknown people coming through your house day or night. People are coming in. There's a key box there. They can come in, they can look at anything. A lot of people don't want that. A lot of people don't want people to see that. They don't want them to see their house. You don't have to have pictures taken in the house. You can sell the house on the date of your closing. Like when you're dealing with a regular agent, it's going to be up to the new buyers when you're going to close. Well, if I'm the new buyer, what day looks good for you? What time? Where do you want to close? Like I can do it around their schedule and what works for them. So that's a big benefit. The other big benefit is there is no real estate agent commissions. Okay, that little 6% or whatever, I don't charge that, and that can get really expensive. I mean, think about it. $200,000 house. If you said there's agent fees and title fees, those types of things, maybe you're talking 7, 8, 9%, you're going to be talking $19,000 in costs that you're not going to have to be worrying about paying. That is a big deal and it adds up fast. It's much faster and easier to sell with me, right? So I can buy it. We can do it anytime, any day, you name it. We can make it easy. There's no commissions. We'll sell the day you want to. Nobody's going to come trampling through your house to see the property. Okay. Seller does not need to do any repairs. This is a big one. What most people don't realize is someone that's going to be buying a house through an agent is going to be getting a traditional loan. They're going to go to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, I don't know, Chase, whatever the case is. And those places want to make sure the house is in good enough condition that the new buyer isn't going to go in and have a problem and then not be able to continue making their payments. So what they do is they do what's called an FHA inspection, and the appraiser's the one that's doing this. And all he's trying to say is, are things in working order? Is there concerns? Does the roof have 5 years or more of life on it? Those types of things. Now, anything that doesn't meet that condition, they can't get a loan until that's taken care of. Now, the seller would have to take care of that in most cases, but if you sell to an investor like me, you don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of the repairs. I'm going to be buying with hard money, so you don't need to worry about me not being able to get a loan because I'm getting hard money and I'm already ready to go. Now, this is another big benefit that you can get in selling to me as an investor versus somebody else. You can leave whatever you want in the house. I have seen so many people that are trying to clean up the house just to haul stuff to the dump to try and get it in a position where they can sell the property. Well, guess what? I can do it for a lot cheaper and a lot easier than they can, and I'm not emotionally attached. So what I basically say is, guys, take what you want. If there's memorabilia, if there's things from grandpa, if it's an estate sale, you know, take what you want, take what's valuable. But you know what? When you're done going through all that stuff, leave what's rest, just leave it there. And I'll take care of it. And they sign, hey, whatever's left over, I own, I can do what I want, I can dispose of it, I can keep it, I can whatever, I own it, right? Now, I'm not doing this, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing this to try and find some, coin that's worth $1 million or something in there. Not at all. I'm trying to do this to make it easier for the seller so they don't have to worry about it, so they can move forward today. They don't have to go through the emotions and the struggles. So most sellers simply don't understand homes need to be in move-in ready condition. If there's a problem, then like a roof leak or electrical problems, HVAC, plumbing problems, or anything else, traditional banks are not going to be able to lend on that property. So they don't want the buyer to get stuck with a big thing and compromise their ability to repay the loan, as we talked a little bit about earlier. So next objection we want to talk about here is, I need more money. Okay, I need more money. Well, there's a big difference between needs and wants. There's just a big difference there. Needs, they owe more than what you are offering them. That's what I'm going to call a need. If they owe more than what you're offering them, that is going to be a need. In this case, your really options are to short sell, or they're going to have to bring cash to sell the property, which people usually don't like doing. So those are some things. Now, want is a little bit different. Want is they want more money, but this is different than a need. This means they have the ability to sell it to you. They just don't want to sell it to you. So want is wanting more money, and they are able. So what do you do in this scenario? Well, what I like to do is use some math, okay? Start with how much do you want for the house, right? And then I keep going, what would you take for a cash offer? What would you take for cash to close on the day that you want to? What would you take for money today? What if we don't have any agent fees on there? What if we make it simple and easy and let you move out and leave all the stuff behind that you don't want? And we'll take care of that. Don't even worry about cleaning up the dog poop in the backyard. We'll take care of everything. So if we did that, what is the best price you would possibly give me? Now, if you can get to a price that works for you in that scenario, fantastic. But if you can't, that's when you go to plan B. And plan B is where you start showing them comparables. Here are some homes that have recently sold. You can see these have sold in the same price range as what I'm offering you. Or these ones have sold, but they didn't need this work, and this home does need the work, and here's approximately how much the work is actually going to cost to get done. So show them the rehab, show them the cost. This is where you're breaking it down to them so they can see the differences and what's actually there. One way you can do this is showing them those rehab prices. And there's a software called Blue Hammer where you can go in and put prices in. It's going to have TV contractor prices if you put the high grade, and then you can provide that to them. You should be able to get that work done for half of that cost if you are doing work as an investor rather than using a TV contractor. You want to show them the expensive options. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. And then you will be able to work with them and try and come to a deal. Now, next objection here is, my home does not need that much work, okay? So they're in denial. You've walked through the house and there's mold and there's a roof leaking and there's the HVAC doesn't work and everything else. And they're like, my house is in so good of condition, it doesn't need all that type of stuff. This is where walking that property is really helpful. Point out everything that needs to be done. Get a contractor to give a bid potentially, or use the Blue Hammer type thing. Show them how much that bid is. You can take that Blue Hammer in and say, well, let's just build out a bid right now. This will show us the pricing. Let's put all the stuff in there that needs to be done, and voila, here you go. And then the other thing you can do is show them pictures of other sellers' homes. Like, hey, this is the condition of the properties that are selling for the price range you're talking about. Take a look. This looks a little different than yours, doesn't it? Because this actually has a roof, and this one doesn't stink, and this one doesn't have feces in the backyard. No, I'm joking here, but those are the type of point that we want to do in a nice manner and showing them what other homes actually look like. And the other thing is, I'm showing them the difference between their house and the home with the pictures or the home with the video. Now, next objection. I'm just going to let the bank foreclose. This is kind of the hopelessness. Like, you know what? I don't have any more options. I'm just going to let the bank take it. I just don't know what to do. Now, it may seem easier just to let the bank take it, but it's not. And let me tell you a few reasons why. And this is something that the seller needs to be aware of. So long term, do you really want a foreclosure on your credit report? And the answer is no, you don't want it. Sure, you're going to have some late payments, but I would much rather not have a foreclosure on there and have late payments on there. It's going to prevent you from being able to get a loan for a minimum of 2 years, but probably more likely 10 years. But if we just have some of those late payments, the credit can bounce back a lot faster if you don't have a foreclosure than if you just have those late payments, and you can work on that and get it taken care of. And that will give you the freedom to do something later rather than have to wait. So you'd rather not deal with that foreclosure. Further, it would feel good to live up to your commitment. You know, wouldn't it just be nice to be able to get it taken care of like you were hoping to at the bank and just say, let's just make this right with you, which is something as an investor I can do with your bank and we can move forward with. So even if you do get foreclosed on, the bank can come after you for losses they take. This is one thing a lot of people just don't simply understand. So if the bank suffers a loss, what they can do, and this can get very expensive because they've got attorneys, they've got late fees, they've got penalties. Even if you don't pay this, they write it off, and then you'll be responsible for the taxes on these funds, which leads to other problems. So here's the deal. Let's say you owe $150,000 on your house, but with fees and everything, it's $175,000. The seller just decides, oh, I'm just going to let the bank take it and foreclose. So they foreclose. Well, now they've got more attorney's fees, and they've got other costs. And let's say they're up to $190,000 right now. Well, let's say that the bank just sells the property as is for $150,000. Well, the bank lost $40,000. So what they're going to do is send you a bill for the $40,000 and could come after you for that because you've personally guaranteed that loan. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, and maybe you say, I'm not going to pay it. Okay, then what they're going to do is write it off, and then you're going to be responsible for $40,000 worth of taxes. Taxes as if it was income because the bank is actually writing it off. Now, I'm not a tax CPA or attorney or anything else, but I want to point out some things that you need to be aware of as a home seller that I think we can avoid. So let's move forward and make a deal happen for you. Now, next, why should I trust you? Why should I trust you? Frankly, I want you to trust me, but you don't need to trust me. We are going to purchase the property at a title company with insured title. We're going to do it with an agent, or excuse me, not an agent. We're going to do it with a closing agent, an escrow agent, or we're going to do it with an attorney. They're going to take care of the paperwork to sell the property. They're going to do the transfer. I send my funds to the title company or attorney. They're going to record and close and send you the funds. So I'm not touching that. They have insurance. This is what they do, is the transfer. And that's what happens all over this country thousands of times to ensure everything happens. So again, I want you to trust me, but you don't need to, because it's all going to be done by a third party that is licensed and insured, and it's going to navigate and record this transaction. Now, I think it's really normal to be concerned. I've worked with dozens of home sellers, or whatever you've worked with. This is one that can be really nice, is we have a we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Or, hey, here's some testimonials I have. Take a look at these happy customers that I have helped sell their house for. So those are some ways you can kind of overcome that objection. Now, next objection, I can get more money selling it on my own. Well, most buyers that are not using an agent are looking for an automatic 6% discount. They come to the house and they're like, oh, hey, I see you don't have an agent. Are you going to take 6% off the price? And you say, yeah, I guess so. You know, we want to make a deal happen. So many buyers are also using buyer's agents, and the buyer's agent gets paid by the seller. And lots of those agents won't even bring people the property if it's not something where you're offering, because their buyer would then have to pay them the commission. And a lot of those buyers will say, you know what, I don't want to pay your commission. I want the seller to be able to pay that. That's just the way the world works, and you need to be aware of that. And there is also time and expense to selling your home. It's going to take some time. You're going to have to put some money into marketing. And in the end, if you get negotiated for agent fees and everything else, doesn't really make that much sense. In addition, you're going to have title costs and everything else. So unless your home doesn't need any work, the only buyer can be an investor. If the home needs any type of work, it's got to be an investor. And a homeowner cannot get a loan from the bank because of the condition of the property, which leads it back to using an investor to purchase the property. Many that try and sell their home on their own, if the condition is good, end up needing help with the paperwork anyway. They need help with the agreements and the contracts and the escrow and the title and everything else like that. So this can become very overwhelming. And this is something that a lot of sellers question themselves and do not know what to do. So what we want to talk about is don't let fear stop you from moving forward, okay? That's the thing I find the most is fear has robbed more dreams away than anything else ever has. So don't let the fear hold you back. Get started. Do it. Make some mistakes. It's going to happen. That's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. We want to fail forward, right? We want to fail moving forward in the right direction. We want to learn as we go.